Welcome to the Big Picture Retirement Show, where you'll learn what it really takes to have a successful retirement. With over 20 years of experience, your host, Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has seen it all and is here to help you achieve your retirement dreams. This is the Big Picture Retirement Show.
Welcome into the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. Rick is a partner of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, along with Reed Abedin and Eddie Soda. You can always find out more about the team by going to the website, safeguardinvestment.com, safeguardinvestment.com. And this really is all about retirement. Can I retire? Well, when can I retire? Do I have enough? Will my money last? Well, basically, if we retire, will I or will we be okay? That's really what we want to know. Well, Rick and the team are here to help. There's no cost to chat with them. It's 800-700-1980, 800-700-1980. Rick, welcome. We ready to go today?
Yeah, let's do this. Thank you, Mark.
All right, so here you go. We're going to talk about protected income. And people are going, protected income. Kind of interesting. Well, here's the deal. The number of protected households in the United States is on the rise, according to the Alliance for Lifetime Income's Protected Lifetime Income Study. Now, when we talk about protected households, Rick, as you well know, we're talking about families who have something like a pension or an annuity to supplement what they will get from Social Security in retirement. Why is it important that we do have some ways, at least, of getting protected income in retirement? It's not all based on the markets going up, because if that's our only money, the markets go down, we got some issues maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's really to give, Mark, people peace of mind. And the other thing, too, I think, where your question may be going is that, with this newer generation, a lot of the protected income that we had before in the past with pensions and things of that nature are starting to go away. So it's getting more and more important that people, when they are planning for retirement, especially since most companies are doing away with those pensions, that we have things set up in order to create protected income, almost kind of like setting up your own private pension, so to speak. And there's ways to do it and there's ways to construct it, even though your own company is not offering it to you. Now, on the other side of the equation, that may mean that you can't, since you can't rely on the company, you're going to have to rely on yourself. And that may mean putting a little extra aside. There may be, some sacrifices and things certain people have to make that they didn't have to do in the past. But having a protected income is going to be key. So that way, in retirement, since you no longer are getting a check, you can sleep at night, regardless of what the economy throws at you.
You go back to 2000, and certainly there's the dot-com bubble bursting. Then you followed by 9/11. Then you move fast forward to 07 to early 09. You have the Great Recession. And so interest rates basically got to almost zero. Well, they did get to zero. There was even talk that we're going to join Japan at negative interest rates. That didn't happen. But if you go back, 13 years to 2010, there were really no interest rates, and it was really if you needed growth to be able to retire at some point, you had to be in the market. Even today, you still need growth because things are always going to cost more down the road. But today it seems a little bit more of an attractive alternative to having some of these safer tools in our retirement tool belt, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that interest rates have gone up. I know, last year interest rates rising have affected one aspect of the economy and has affected markets a certain way, but it has affected, safer products in a positive way. So we haven't had fixed interest rates at these levels in many, 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 many years. So now these safer products, whether it be CDs or fixed annuities or other products that provide a guaranteed interest rates are becoming more attractive, especially for those people that do need to have income. Because Mark, I don't know if you remember back in the day, even in the early 80s when you can get a CD that paid you 12 or 13%, somebody could put their money in a CD and live off the interest. And then obviously when rates went down, that game completely changed. So now that forced many retirees to take a little bit more risk in the market in order to get the necessary interest rate to offset their income. But now that fixed income has gone up, or interest rates have gone up, if you can get a CD nowadays for just a simple example that, pays you 5% and all you need is 3% to live on, you're okay. At least it gives you peace of mind. Should you put all your portfolio in that? Maybe not, but, having a diversified approach that addresses the protected income you need and looking at all aspects is going to be pretty important.
Yeah, there's so many moving parts in retirement. That's why Rick and the team at Safeguard have offered you the opportunity to get your own toolkit, if you will. That includes retirement guides, and also Reed did a webinar talking about their process and how it all plays out, the big picture blueprint, which is really here to give you direction and clarity on your road to retirement, income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning. What about Social Security? It's in the income part. What about Medicare? It's in the healthcare part. So if you would like that, all you have to do, those retirement guides in the webinar, all you have to do is text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969. There is no cost to you whatsoever. This is really just there for your information to do some of your own really due diligence as it pertains to your retirement. Text the word toolkit. You get the retirement guides. You also get Reed's webinar. Text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969, 951-667-4969. And it's really one of the challenges. You mentioned being diversified in our portfolio. And a lot of time you think, okay, that's large stocks, medium-sized stocks, small cap, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, when you're building your financial house, you have a foundation, right? That's always a key, have a foundation. And that foundation is really the security of your house. If the foundation crumbles, you got issues. So you need a solid foundation for your retirement income. And then you have the walls where there's a little bit more risk there. And then you have the roof where maybe the really higher risk things are, but you don't need it for a while. So it's okay, it can fluctuate. Is that kind of how you look at it when you're building somebody's portfolio? Is we're looking at, okay, there's the banking world, the insurance world, and the market, and we can kind of use a little bit from each?
Yeah, that's actually a great point, because when it comes to planning, all of these investments, they're all tools. So what we want to do is use these different tools for the purpose that they're intended to be used for. So you're right. Yeah, we want a certain portion of our assets set up to where our income is guaranteed, protected, that we know that, hey, regardless under any market condition, hey, I can count on this income. My lifestyle is sustained. But then also we need to make sure that this money keeps up with inflation. So then we have, a portion of the assets set up so that way it does keep up with inflation. Yeah, there may be some volatility, but then of course that can be controlled based upon a person's risk tolerance and what makes sense for their situation. But also we want some money that, that is guaranteed and safe for like emergencies, liquidity, things of that nature. So if the market's going down, you want to be in a position where you're like, okay, listen, I don't need that money to live on. I have my income coming from this other facet. And if there's an emergency and you need $20,000 to fix the roof on the house, you want to be in a situation where you're like, listen, I don't want to pull it from the market investments right now because the market's down. I don't want to pull it from my income investments because now I don't want my income going down. So where do we go? We go to the emergency money. We go to the, safe money, liquid money. So we dole it out in a way that regardless of what happens in your particular situation, we have a key we can turn and know, hey, we're fine no matter what happens. We plan for the worst case scenario. If it happens, you're fine. That's the goal of retirement planning.
Plan for the worst, but hope for the best.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea, right? So you think about it. Because you said, look, here's the deal. These are all tools. So we have 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, 457s, depending on where you work. You have Social Security. You have all these different things. You have your market monies, basically. You have all these different tools. There's nothing to be super emotional about them. The markets are going to go up and down. That's how it works. So you're not, hopefully, if you're in retirement, you're not living only on the market monies. There's some other safer tools there. And so what you're saying is when my dad left me Blockbuster stock, he didn't do it because it was Blockbuster, even though I'm still holding on to it because I know it's going to come back. We do get, somebody hands down a stock or something and we hang on to it because, well, they gave it to me. They gave it to us for a purpose, not because it was a Blockbuster stock, right?
Right. Yeah. It's funny that you say that, but yeah, the scenario here is what your mom and dad did for themselves. Times change, your situation is different. And really, there's so many general rules of thumb out there that it's worth it. Sit down with an advisor that specializes in retirement planning. That's a fiduciary. And, have them review your particular situation and show you a specific game plan that addresses your objectives, what's most important to you. goals and all the rest of it. Whether you choose to use that individual or work with that individual is one thing, but at least, make yourself aware of the possibilities, make yourself aware of all the tools that are available out there to you. So then you can decide, hey, listen, you know what, do I need somebody to help me or can I do it on my own? But I think getting an education, considering how important this stuff is worth at least an hour of a person's time to sit down with somebody.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you basically will guarantee to a degree, if somebody comes in to chat with you for that 45 minutes to an hour long, just by calling 800-700-1980, there's no cost for this whatsoever. There's no pressure. There's no obligation. But what do you tell them? If they'll give you 45 minutes to an hour, what are you going to guarantee them?
For sure, Mark. I mean, I've been doing this for over 2 decades. So I've been doing this long enough. So if somebody comes in within 45 minutes, I can guarantee I'll give you at least 2 ideas that'll enhance whatever it is that you're currently doing.
Absolutely. There's no cost, there's no obligation, there's no pressure. And that's kind of the idea behind the big picture blueprint. It's going to cover those areas: income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning. Those are big areas. And you can't really just forget about any of them because they're all kind of interconnected to a degree. But then what about Social Security? What about Medicare? The idea is, how can Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group help you? Give you some confidence, hopefully, with your retirement. But certainly that 45-minute to an hour chat, you're going to get a couple ideas from Rick that it guarantees you that whatever it is you're doing, you'll feel a little bit better about a couple areas, but you're going to have clarity. Here's where we are. Here's what we need to do that'll put us in a better position. Rick's goal is not to blow up everything you've worked hard for. It's how can he augment and supplement what you've been working so hard for. Again, that number to chat with Rick and the team at Safeguard is 800-700-1980. No cost, no obligation, no pressure. I don't know why you would not take advantage of it. 800-700-1980. We're talking protected income, the importance thereof, when we come back with Rick Rivera right here on the Big Picture Retirement Show.
You're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. For more information about Rick and the Safeguard Investment Advisory Group team, go to safeguardinvestment.com. While you're there, you can also download educational retirement guides and sign up for an upcoming seminar. That's safeguardinvestment.com. Now, back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. You can always go to the website to learn more, safeguardinvestment.com, safeguardinvestment.com. You can always give the team a call. They're here to help if they can. They don't know if they can help you until you reach out. But the idea is, you've got questions about retirement. Why would you not talk with a firm that actually works in the retirement world? Doesn't that make sense? I'm not going to have the plumber do heart surgery. That doesn't make sense. But I have a plumbing issue, I'm calling the plumber. I have a heart issue, I'm calling the cardiologist. So it's the same thing. Why not sit down with a retirement planner when you're having concerns about retirement? Can I retire, or when can I retire? Do I have enough? All those questions. 800-700-1980. 800-700-1980. Today we're talking about protected income. And there's the banking world, there's the insurance world, and there's the market world, the stock market world, right? Those are the 3 worlds of money. The banking world, hey, you're getting a little bit of interest now. That's new. Interest on the insurance tools is even better for sure than it's been in a decade or so. The market gets a little iffy sometimes, but we know at the end of the day that we got to have some money in the market because we need to grow our money because things are going to cost more down the line. So we're talking about protected income. It's the safer tools that you can have in your retirement tool belt. So if 40% of households have protected income, and that was from a study done by the Alliance for Lifetime Income's Protected Lifetime Income Study, Rick. So 40% of households have protected income. That means obviously 60% of households do not have protected income. So let's talk about those people right now. What challenges might they be facing if their retirement income is maybe money instead of protected money?
Well, that's actually a good question. And I'm sure, most people, the first thought comes to mind as well, obviously, outliving my money would be the obvious one. But I want to give people an example of something. When we say maybe money as opposed to protected income, the challenge nowadays, and it's actually, I shouldn't say nowadays, for the longest time, probably ever since I've been in the industry, so many advisors are using, again, general rules of thumb, and they'll throw terms at you, such as the 4% rule. They'll throw terms at you as the rule of 100. And let's just take it back to 2007. People were retiring, and an advisor came and ran these Monte Carlo simulations. They ran these programs that basically told them, and done some math. As long as you're pulling 4% out of your investments, your money's going to last you the rest of your life. But keep in mind, folks, if the market's down 10 and you're pulling out 4, you're now down 14. So we know what happened in 2008 after they, again, not doing the maybe situation, the maybe income. So 2008, those that were drawing off their investments to live on are now panicked. They either have to take less income. In most cases, they can't do because they budgeted themselves to have a certain amount of income in their retirement. And if they don't, now they have to risk, running out of money, and that puts stress. And this is why many people went back to work again. So this is where it's so important to make sure, if you do not want to risk going back to work, because there's so many people that have won the comfortable retirement, feel confident in it, and they have the numbers, but if the plan is not structured properly, you can go from winning that comfortable retirement to losing it real quickly, or at least feeling very uneasy and losing sleep overnight, because as the balances are going down, you have to remember, you can't exactly call the electric company or phone company and say, hey, listen, can I put you off until the market rebounds again? Or if, God forbid, Uncle Sam is saying, hey, listen, you know what? I'm requiring you, because you're a certain age, to pull out $30,000 this year out of your investments. And there was a year like last year where the market's down. You can't exactly tell Uncle Sam, hey, listen, can I put you off until the market rebounds again? So it's super important that a strategic plan is in place for these people. So that way you're not basing things on illustrations and maybe scenarios, because at the end of the day, you're the one that pays the price, not the advisor, if they're just doing a maybe plan as opposed to something that is protected for you.
So that brings me to mind the fact that when people come in to sit down with you, they're still working, right? Let's say they're 55 to 60, their goal is to retire at 65, just for example. More than likely, a high percentage of their dollars are invested in the market because they don't need it yet. Then when they get into retirement, how do you adjust though? I mean, we don't want 90 or 100% of our money in the market typically when we're in retirement, because we do need some safer monies that will be there and we can count on. How do you determine all of that?
Well, again, what we do is we'll sit down with an individual, figure out, okay, what are their income needs are. So let's say some clients, let's say they've done wonderful planning, no debt, home is paid off, and maybe they both get a Social Security check, they both get a pension check. So let's just say the income is set there. Then we may say, okay, listen, we need to strategize, figure out what your objectives are, because we know that we need to have a plan that's going to be able to offset inflation, because you may need incremental raises. Because keep in mind, just because your pension has a COLA or Social Security gives you raises from time to time, that's based on some random index. Inflation affects people differently. So if we're going to design an inflation rate for you, we need to do it based upon your specific parameters. What if you like to play a lot of golf? What if you want to travel and travel costs are rising at 6%? We have to design it around you. So maybe in that case, for a person that, pensions and Social Security are doing all the heavy lifting, maybe, some of the money should be in protected areas and emergency areas, and they can afford to have a little bit more money in the market. Others that actually need the money to live on, their formula may be a little bit different. And then also tax planning comes into play as well. So really, the key here is, rather than following general rules of thumb, you sit down with an advisor, have them figure out your particular scenario, and then what they can do is design the plan around you, rather than just some, again, general rule of thumb where they might say, the internet says that you should have X percentage saved for this, X percentage saved for that. And if you're doing it that way, you're going to end up getting into trouble. So it has to be tailor-made for your situation.
Yeah, and that's your opportunity when you sit down with the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. Again, that number is 800-700-1980, because my grandparents, Rick, retired in the 70s. So the time of high inflation, but super high interest rates as well, double-digit interest rates on a CD at the bank, for example. But they had pensions, they had Social Security. So income was not their challenge, because then they could also put some of their extra money in a CD and make, 12, 13%. I don't have all of that. I just have my 401k and maybe an IRA or what have you, life insurance and those kind of things. But I don't have the guaranteed income that my grandparents had. That's probably one of the biggest challenges today for today's retirees, isn't it?
100%. 100%. And it's funny because as you were talking about that, what was going through my mind as you're discussing that is The average consumer is so confused. I get people in here that tell me, hey, Rick, I see on TV that a commercial on TV that all annuities are bad and I should stay away from annuities. And then the next commercial that comes on is telling me, oh, you know what? The 5 things, bad things about mutual funds. You should stay away from mutual funds. Then the next commercial is telling me how the sky's going to fall and I should be buying gold. And then somebody else, the commercial is telling me how I should, invest in bonds. There's just so much confusion out there. And a lot of these things that you see, whether it's on TV or you hear it wherever, if they're saying all of anything is bad, it's usually because they're trying to sell you something. It's not designed around a plan. So to take it back to the beginning of the show, what we're saying is all of these investments are tools and they were invented for specific reasons. The challenge that we see a lot of advisors doing is that if you give an advisor a hammer, they see everything as a nail. So, if you go to the doctor and he prescribes a medication to you, there may be downsides to it, but obviously the advantage to you, especially if you've got high cholesterol, whatever, diabetes, is going to outweigh maybe some of the disadvantages of it. So every single investment that is out there have their advantages, they have disadvantages, some of them even have strings attached. But folks, it's how we use all these different vehicles for the appropriate purpose that's going to allow you to maximize the advantages for yourself and minimize the disadvantages. So it's really boils down to having a game plan.
So to get that game plan, it's pretty simple. All you do is pick up the phone, call the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, 800-700-1980. And I will tell you this, if you have a big pension and you've got Social Security and your guaranteed income is good, you don't need an annuity in creating your own pension that way. But maybe you do because you don't have a pension. There are so many tools in this retirement tool belt, you don't know which ones you should be using. Rick and the team are here to help. Don't forget that 45-minute to an hour chat with Rick. He says, hey, I almost guarantee people that I will give you 2 ideas that will enhance whatever it is you're currently doing. Really, you're going to open your eyes to where you are. Great opportunity for you today. No cost, no obligation. 800-700-1980. 800-700-1980. Rick, always enjoy it. Thanks for the time. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. We'll do it again next week.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark.
Firm offers insurance services. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is a registered investment advisory firm. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC.